are a short walk from your fridge. I am, so do go and get a snack if you get a bit peckish during this. So as people who've been to our Leeds Trinity Business Network sessions before will know that we often cover aspects of digital marketing. It's always evolving. There's a lot of marketing people coming to this today. But I think you'd agree now it's more important than ever to maintain that online presence and to connect to audiences. The landscape has shifted hugely. And so I'm really delighted that Manpreet Singh, Mani from Bobble Digital is here to join us today. Bobble Digital is a Leeds-based digital agency, and Mani's got a wealth of experience in SEO and all parts of digital marketing. And he's going to talk to us about the current landscape and advice on how to adapt your strategy, digital channels to explore, some new things opportunities that you can make the most of during this time, and give examples too. And I had a chat to Man on Monday, and he's put a lot of work and research into this and has actually looked at trends from recent recessions, not other pandemics, because this is a pretty once in a lifetime thing, but other recessions that you can learn. So there are hopefully some really good advice and guidance and some tips that you'll get from this session. So if you can all put yourselves on mute, I will too when Mani's talking. If you want to ask questions at any point, please do through the chat, and we'll be putting those questions to Mani at the end. Obviously, it's really tricky to network properly via this forum, but just to let you know that we do have other online networking forums. So we have the LinkedIn Leeds Trinity Business Network group, and we have a group on Facebook. And I think Hayley will be putting links to those on the chat so you can find those directly. We also have a series of podcasts from previous speakers available for you. And we're also on Twitter, so please do follow us on Twitter and feel free at any point to tweet during this session using the hashtags LTBN or hashtag LeedsDigi20. So I think that's all from me. So I'm going to hand over now to Mani. Over to you.
Thanks, Jess. I'll just share my screen first, make sure this technology works. Can everybody see my presentation? Can someone let me know if it comes up full screen?
Yes, Mani, it's fine.
All right, thank you. So firstly, I just want to say thank you to Jess and Leeds Trinity for inviting me to speak today. It's an honour. This is the first time I've done an online event, so for some reason it's a bit more nerving than actually speaking in front of 120 people directly. As Jess says, you can, tag us all in, LTU Business Net, Leeds Trinity, Bobble Digital, myself at Manpreet Singh, and use obviously the hashtag Leeds Digital 2020, LDF 2020, hashtag Bobble Digital, LTBN across Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. This presentation will be shared as a PowerPoint and PDF, so don't worry about having to take too many notes. All the content will be available afterwards. Just as a quick intro before we quick in terms of who I am. I'm a digital marketing specialist, CEO of Bobble Digital. I've got over 10 years experience within digital marketing. I've worked for leading international agencies such as Cara into Marketing before setting up Bobble Digital back in 2017, 3 years ago. I've worked across international, national and local clients from Adidas and Interface, which is one of our current clients, to even working on Leeds Trinity's university's digital campaigns during my time at Cara. I'm working with even small micro businesses like Space Fitness and Oakley. So a wealth of experience to help, because there's going to be a wide range of people on this seminar today that are micro business, small businesses, medium and large. So that wealth of experience and that education will be key. Obviously, I'm an advocate of digital marketing education. I actually lecture at Leeds Trinity University in Leeds Beckett, and we do our Bobble Bite Size events as well. Every month as well, so I really love actually educating people and giving our insights. Just quickly on, clickers decided to stop working. Just quickly in terms of who we are as an agency, we're an agile digital marketing agency. We use our own methodology to develop digital marketing strategies, and through careful selected channels, we deliver results. We take our clients what we call journey of business growth. We offer 3 key services: strategy, understanding who your audience are; digital marketing through various different channels; and analytics, understanding what works and what doesn't work. We do everything from PPC through to digital TV, digital out of home. If it's digital, we do it. But you're not here to understand what we do. We're here to help educate you. So seminar is obviously about adapt and thrive digital marketing in a pandemic. We're going to cover a few topics here. So the first thing we're going to look at is the current digital marketing landscape and how that's changed in the last month online. So we've got a lot of data and insights around that. Then we're going to talk about why it's important to be doing digital marketing during a global pandemic and looking at, previous pandemics and economic crisis and what we can learn from that and why it's important to continue with your marketing activity. Then we'll go through some tips and advice on how you can be adapting your digital marketing strategy right now in line with how the trends are changing. Then we'll go through different channels that you should be exploring and why and how you should be adapting those. Then we'll be giving you examples of businesses who are actually adapting their digital strategy so you can see how people are putting that into practice and what's actually going on right now in the live stream. And we've got some really useful links at the end, including grants and medium funding that's available from Google and Facebook. If you're not aware of this or you haven't signed up for this, there's some really useful tips to help and support businesses in terms of where they can get some funding right now for businesses to help them through these difficult times. So what is the current digital marketing landscape right now within digital marketing? So to start off with, what are the media consumption changes by generation? So what we've done is we've broken down the different generations. And the key thing, if you're listening in today, is to start thinking about is some of your audiences fall within some of these demographics in terms of generations. They might fall between 16 and 23, and there might be Gen Z, or there might be baby boomers and fall between 57 and 64 years old. What you need to be understanding is where does my audience fit? Because this is how media consumption has changed in the last month alone, since the end of March. So what we can see is the younger generation, Gen Z, they're creating and uploading more video content, so they're consuming more, and by 29% more than what they were doing before. Baby boomers on the other side of the scale are watching more TV and broadcast channels by up to 64% more. And they're watching more news coverage. It changes by different generations. So you need to be thinking, where does my audience fit within this generation breakdown? And are you, as a business, exploring those channels to target that audience right now? Because that's what you should be doing and moving with the landscape as your consumers and your potential customers are moving as well. As we can see, as a breakdown, we picked up 3, but there are plenty, and we go into a lot more detail in the next slides, is how millennials are listening to more podcasts. So seeing podcasts on the rise, they're reading more newspapers, again, also loading up more videos to YouTube and TikTok. Gen X, which are 38 to 56, they're spending more time cooking and spending more time at home and spending more time watching TV. It kind of shows you the different ways different generations are adapting to the current climate and what media consumption they're consuming more of. Some of this data also looks at the percentage who said they've started consuming or are consuming more of the following since the outbreak. So what we've done is broken down the different media channels that they're consuming, looked at the UK as a percentage overall in terms of the percentage uplift in terms of change of habits, and then broken it down by those generations so you can see the difference by different age groups and generation types to fill in. The key thing to see is that a lot of people are using more broadcast TV, online videos, online TV streaming films as a point of media in terms of what they're consuming more of. In the UK, on average, it's 34% for broadcast TV. So as you can see, Gen Z, they fall below that demographic in terms of the average, so they're not consuming as much broadcast TV. They're spending more time on online videos and streaming, whereas if you look at baby boomers, 42% are spending more time consuming broadcast TV than they were before. Same with Gen X. So it changes by different audience demographic. And that's key because we're not all the same. Not every individual is the same, is going to have the same habits online. And that's why we need to break it down by different demographics to see what's doing. And as businesses here within the meeting, you will all have different audiences that fall into different categories. But it's good to see how the UK overall is changing their consumption of media online, but how that breaks down into different sectors. Then we looked at the percentage who say they're doing the following on the internet today. So there's a lot more options to choose from there. So what we've seen an outburst of right now is searches relating to coronavirus or COVID-19 updates, particularly between Google searches online. And overall in the UK, 63% of consumers are searching for coronavirus and COVID-19 updates. Now, this presents a potential opportunity as well for businesses. So as you can see, that's much higher than the average for Gen Z, millennials, and Gen X audiences, but a lot lower for boomers who are spending less time online and more time in traditional media. You can see that listening to music, watching movies, watching funny videos is key. Key thing there is a lot of people play more games on mobile, in particular millennials and Gen Z, which is between the older and younger demographic. So it presents an opportunity. More people are using apps and mobile apps to communicate. Well, they'll spend their time as they're at home, and what that provides is an opportunity for you to start targeting through in-app game advertising. So if you're not doing in-app game advertising and you're targeting Gen Z and a potential audience and customer, then you need to be changing your habits to see what are they doing on the internet today? What are they doing online? What we can see is as we get further down the list, stuff like reading celebrity news, reading sports news, reading live blogs, that's still a high percentage of change for millennials, but not so much with the other generations and what we see overall in the UK. So this is very, very valuable data to help us understand, which we support with our clients and show our clients, saying this is how the online landscape is changing. Here's what is the change in online habit and how businesses are changing online in terms of adapting, how we should adapt to focus on different channels. So if we know that we're targeting Gen Z and young demographic for one of our clients, then we might consider, if they're listening to more music, to do ads within Spotify, because more people are listening to music and streaming music. So again, if they're watching funny videos, they'll be watching that on TikTok, YouTube. So we need to adapt the strategy in that way to communicate that message through different platforms and formats. Right? All right. It says someone else started sharing the presentation. Has somebody else taken control of the presentation? Sorry, can everyone see that?
That's better now, Manny, you're back up.
Yeah, sorry, I think someone just took control. Sorry about that. So one thing that we have done and looked at is we used our own client data as well to see how has their landscape changed in terms of what's happening with the results we see through our analytics and data. And the key thing we've seen is change in ad traffic changes. So even though more people are spending less time on Google search, client internet usage is up by 50% since COVID-19 became a pandemic. It's good news because it means you can still reach your potential customers, they're just in different places. So whereas Google search ad traffic has been down by 20% in the last month, same with shopping, it's actually increased significantly by up to 20% for YouTube and Google Display Network. So for those who don't know what Google Display Network is, Google Display Network covers a range of different channels. So if you ever go on a news outlet or like skysports.com and you see those annoying square banners and landscape banners, that's essentially display. But through the display network, you can also target in-app ads, so through in-app gaming. And as we saw on the previous slide, that across all generations and across the UK whole, more people are moving towards mobile gaming as a pastime in terms of what they're doing on the internet, which is why we see a significant uplift in Google Display ad traffic overall in the last 4 weeks. What we've also noticed is a change in search habits. So again, looking at our client data, we went back and looked at our ad accounts and looked at Google Analytics to see when search queries were taking place and when ad impressions were being delivered for some of our clients. And what's really, really interesting here is that during the weekday and weekends, between 4 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. at night, there's actually been a decrease in ad impressions delivered across Google. But between midnight and 3 p.m. 3 a.m. in the morning, and there's been an increase in ad impressions delivered, which kind of explains how sleeping patterns have been ruined as people are not working anymore. Some people potentially, being furloughed. Everyone's working no longer 9 to 5 as they continue working from home, so people are up later. So what we've seen is we've had to adapt our strategy in terms of when we schedule text ads, because we would normally never schedule a text ad beyond midnight in normal times because everyone would be asleep and it'd be a waste of ad budget. we'd pick it up in the morning, but we've had to adapt it by time of day because we realised actually we're getting up to 20% at 1 in the morning more on the weekend of people searching for relevant keywords for our clients. So we need to make sure we're in front of them whilst they're doing that search at 1 a.m. So we have to adapt it. So again, search habits have changed in the last month, and we would never see that in normal times. People increasing their search impressions and actually searching for stuff on Google beyond midnight. It normally drops off by 11 o'clock, but doesn't increase. So it just shows you the big change in search habits that are happening and how that's impacting. Social media is actually becoming social. So I think the positive from the outbreak, if anything, is that it's bringing back the social aspects of what we call social media. 39% of UK consumers are reading more news stories on social media as a result, and that is a primary motivator of using social right now. We can see differences by different age in terms of what they're doing. So baby boomers are using social media to keep in touch with friends, not to read news. However, 54% of millennials are turning to social media to read more news than anything else. So whereas older generation use it to stay in contact with people, millennials are using it to read more quality news. And if they're on there looking to read news, there's an opportunity for you to share the right information and help them find the right news and information that they're looking for within that social platform. Gen Z has a completely different audience, a lot younger. They're listening to more music, playing more games. So they're focused and they're emphasizing on just entertaining content, and that's all. So it just shows how social has adapted and changed quite a lot in the last 4 months. And this is, and what we're seeing is a change in social ad spend as well. So this looks at it from a global point of view. The blue line is what you see in terms of Western Europe, which would include UK. So the normal trend continued from September, which is what we'd expect. We'd expect that trend to increase up to December, leading up to Christmas with, Black Friday, Christmas sales, and then there's always a sharp drop off between Christmas and New Year when it's a quiet period and everybody's at home and still hungover from the Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. And then you see a significant uplift going into January with the New Year sales and the new lines coming out as companies and retailers try to get rid of stock. And generally, you see that trend increase leading up to Easter. But what we see from March is a significant drop-off in media spend, and actually the sharpest media spend drop-off in years that we've seen, even more than what we see a drop-off in that quiet period between, Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So it just shows that the impact it's having. So consider that if people are dropping off their media spend, that means your competitors aren't spending much, but it also presents a potential opportunity, which we'll discuss shortly. The only area where it's increased is Asia. So do they know something we don't? Well, actually, no. What it is that the lockdown in China has been lifted, and in parts of South Korea, they've actually lifted parts of lockdown. So that economy is improving, and what we're seeing is businesses return to normal and continue to increase their spend. So that is what's expected to happen once this lockdown actually goes back to normal times. And video content is on the rise. So a lot of the media consumption in the outbreak has primarily been video based. We know that 8% of consumers are consuming more content through broadcast TV, online videos, and online TV streaming, which take the top spots for overall media consumption. Baby boomers overall, which is the older demographic, that 42% consuming more broadcast TV. So it presents an opportunity for you as a business to potentially reach our news digital TV. And as you know now, you can use digital TV and buy per impression as opposed to region back in the day. So you can only target your specific audience. So if you're trying to get in front of the older demographic, you can do via potential broadcast TV. It's interesting that millennials and more than other generations are listening to more live streams and podcasts. So as a business, you need to be creating more content, in particular like podcasts and video and live streams, which is what they're more interested in. So that's the snapshot overview of how the landscape has been changing in digital marketing and what we've seen across different channels and what we've seen in media consumptions across the UK and by different audiences and different generations. Now we'll just quickly talk about why it's important to be doing your digital marketing in a global pandemic. What you do now as a business, whether you're a small micro business or a large medium enterprise business, will have a drastic impact on your brand and long-term sales and revenue when the lockdown ends and normality resumes. When you go out on the streets, you don't see anything. So that's a great example of Piccadilly, actually one of my favorite spots in the UK, and how empty it is. So traditional media isn't working because we're all at home on our laptops and with our mobile phones. I guarantee you everybody's either logged in with a laptop or a PC, but also has their mobile phone right next to them, like I do, and their minds on silent. And what that means is more people online and for longer. So there's more chances for you as a business to reach your ads in front of your consumers through social media and getting more interaction with the content and blogs. So what it does is overall bring the cost of advertising down. But what can we stress the importance of digital marketing? What can we learn from the past that equips us for the future? Now, we have never been in a situation as a country beyond a potential world war or faced a pandemic like this before. So there's not enough data in a pandemic situation because it lasts short term, except looking at potential economic crisis. And that's what we're in. We are in an economic crisis, but we're not in a recession. However, the way the market, the digital marketing platforms are reacting is like we are in a recession. So even though we're in a recession, there's opportunities to keep spending. Why? Because if your competitors cut back on their ad spend, it allows for you as a business to reposition your brand and take market share and introduce new products. Competitors, companies that continue to spend show corporate stability. So they show that they're stable, that they're still trading. We've got some examples of businesses that are still trading even though their online stores are closed. The cost of advertising drops. It becomes what we call a buyer's market for brands. It becomes cheaper. So if you're spending, £100 on social media ads before, you can get up to £150 worth of value for the same price because the cost per click has come down significantly. But where marketers cut back, they lose that share of mind. But if you continue to spend and increase your spend on digital marketing, you increase your share of voice, which leads to an increase in share of market, and an increase of share of market long term will result in increase in profits and sales and revenue for your business. So there are opportunities to keep spending, but I understand that a lot of businesses are facing difficult times and opportunities. Just got a couple of examples here of last two recessions that we can learn from. Understandably, in 1990-91, there were no digital activity taking place, but it's an example of what we can do. McDonald's decided to drop its advertising and sales declined by 28%, whereas Pizza Hut increased sales by 61% and Taco Bell grew by 40% because they spent on the advertising that McDonald's decided to drop. Back in 2009, during the Great Recession, Amazon grew its sales by 28%. How did they do that? They did it by introducing a new product. So in the last slide, we talked about introducing new products and repositioning your brand. So Amazon introduced a new product, the Kindle, which was very well priced. It was a cheap product just before Christmas. A lot of people bought the product. They grew their sales by 28%. And on Christmas Day, more people bought an ebook than printed book for the first time. And what Amazon did then became an innovative company and introduced a lower cost alternative to cash-strapped customers, which is what's actually happening in the market right now. Some customers are cash-strapped, so you need to be offering alternatives or pushing out products that maybe be potentially cheaper or adapting your strategy in line with that. The best quote I can give to support why digital marketing is important is when Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, was asked, "What do you think about a recession?" He responded, "I thought about it and decided not to participate." Now, that's a good way to put it forward because this COVID-19 pandemic isn't going to last forever. Hopefully, we don't come out into a recession. That's hard to say. We'll have to wait to see how long this lockdown lasts for and the impact it has on the business economy. But if it does go back to normality and it's only short term, if you continue acting like normal and continue your digital marketing activity, you could come out of it stronger than your competitors and increase market share that will then be difficult for them to gain in the long term. So now I'm just going to go through some tips and advice to adapt your digital marketing strategy online. The first thing you do want to do is communicate with your existing customers. Your existing customers are your current revenue stream. So make sure you're communicating your safety measures you're taking, best way to get in touch if they have questions or concerns or where to find updates. The best way to do that, if you're a B2B organization, send separate emails to your customers. If you're more B2C, send out newsletters, get them to subscribe up to newsletters and send up constant updates. If you have an office, change your voicemail greetings and tell them where to get information from. On social media, you can pin your posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to the top of your pages. So make sure you're putting the most valuable information at the top for your existing customers. If you have a physical location, make sure you post it outside. But more importantly, if you have a website Update your homepage to make sure you have a link around COVID-19 so your existing customers can get the information they need about your business. Right now, existing customers are the lifeblood of businesses and your key revenue stream, where they're currently struggling to get potentially new customers. So make sure you communicate with existing customers to show what you're doing, to show stability and strength. Update your details on Google My Business. So Google has created some updates to let you know around COVID-19 and how you can post on your My Business page. Make sure you change your hours if you're closed, and make sure you show that your physical location is closed so people don't turn up. Adapt, your services to show stuff like contact-free delivery. Change your attributes, such as pick up or drive-through, etc. And focus less on posts because they disappear after 7 days. Focus on creating events because you can set a time frame for how long you want that to run for. So make sure you go to google.com My Business and update your details around there and click on those options as shown in the slide. Adjust your message. This pandemic has caused drastic shifts in consumer needs and business goals. It's important that you don't come off as insensitive, but you provide messages that stay relevant but provide relevant information. Replace your call to action from stuff like join line to sign up to virtual classes. We use that as an example because we work with Space Fitness and Wellbeing in Ilkley, and they had 3 fitness studios, and they've had to change their classes and their messages to virtual classes and virtual sessions online. So look at changing your message and your call to actions around, join now or buy now to, sign up or inquire. Promote safe offers like contact-free delivery, virtual sessions, censor your material. Make sure you're not using stuff like killer content and you're not coming across as insensitive. And check any scheduled content that you had put in place, whether it's automated emails or scheduled posts around anniversary, holidays, birthdays, holiday offers or seasonal offers. Make sure you change your content in line with, replacing your call to actions and adjusting your message. The best way to do that is to offer empathy and add value. Now, I've used Baby Yoda if anyone's watched Mandalorian. If you haven't, apologies for spoilers. Just shows that I've been doing a lot of video streaming since I've been in lockdown. But, create empathy and add real value. The key thing right now is you want to move from getting the attention of your audience by being, very straight and narrow to them with buy now, discounts, etc. You want to engage with them because they're in lockdown. You want to show empathy. Your brand should still work to engage and provide relevant information, help businesses and help your customers get the relief they need by providing the relevant content that's going to help them answer a question that they have in relation to your topic. It's important to set the tone because during this time, those companies that are seen to put the needs of people first above their actual bottom line might take a short-term financial hit, but will come out stronger when normality returns. So if you're in a position to focus on people first and your bottom line, it's great. A bad example, Coffee Sports Direct, when Mike Ashley came out and said, my store is an essential service when it clearly wasn't and every other retailer was shutting down. The backlash he got from that is absolutely crazy. And, based on what we've read online, his sales are going to take a significant hit and people aren't even ordering online anymore from his bank. So show that you're helping, by being ethical, retaining staff, paying suppliers, supporting food banks, or anything you can do, whether you're a small or large business, show that you're helping, because you'll be able to highlight this through content marketing and create a brand affinity and create empathy and show value in how you're helping and putting people first. This will support you in your business growth when you come out of the pandemic. And if you can't do all that, and I understand there's a lot of small businesses here that are tuned in, and you might not have the resource, you might have to furlough a number of staff, you don't have the time, then just pause all the ads in the ad groups across all digital channels, except the ones that are best performing from a conversion metric. If you want to continue spending online, but you can only do the bare minimum, then just focus on the ads that have delivered the best conversion rate and the best ROI and the lowest cost per action. Right now, the cost entry point online is so much lower, so these ads should perform better in terms of ROI and cost per action, but allow you to remain online at a lower cost. However, consider potentially changing your messaging around those ads and testing new ads if possible. So there's some tips and advice on how to adapt your strategy. What we're going to do is going to go through some different digital channels, which you should be exploring right now and why. So the first one is PPC. Now, if you have an existing PPC campaign in place, they need to be reviewing your search term reports. If not, you need to be getting up and setting up a PPC campaign if you have the budget to do so. The reason for is because, you know, even though search terms are low, the cost of CPC is coming down significantly. It's becoming less competitive. As we can see, ad spend has come down, as we showed in the previous slides with the data. But if you have an existing campaign, make sure you're reviewing your search terms reports, because that will tell you which keywords are working. We've seen a big explosion in terms of COVID-19 related keywords, but the problem is you need to be checking this daily, because we don't know what's going to be trending tomorrow. You need to be following COVID-19 searches and what's trending. So Google Trends, which is a free tool, just type in Google Trends on Google. They've released a coronavirus hub dedicated to COVID-19 search terms. Make sure you're reviewing that regularly. I say ideally daily, to see what's working and what's not. The reason for this is if you're working in a particular sector, for example, for us, it would be, you know, PPC agency in Leeds, we would maybe talk about PPC support during coronavirus and change the keyword in that way. Still using PPC and coronavirus in one keyword, but adapting for that, because that's what people might be looking for, advice on how to change their PPC campaign during the coronavirus. So that's how you can adapt, and that's why it's important to follow those kind of trends. Update and text and test new ads. Remember, change your call to action, focus on empathy. You know, if you're still running as a business, but you're running online, make sure you focus on, you know, keywords around online classes and tailoring your message to focus on adding value and showing that you're there to help. Revisit your bid devices. So if you've set up a campaign on PPC effectively, you should be separating your bids and how much you weigh in bids by different devices, mobile, desktop, and tablet. And what we've seen with our own clients is a 25% drop off in mobile searches. Okay, this is an industry, that's what we've seen with our clients when we did our research. So what we've been doing is optimizing bids by devices and focusing more on desktop, because what we've noticed is more people are using their mobile devices to consume news and content and video content and play games as opposed to do searches. They're doing more searches on desktop, so make sure you adapt your bids accordingly. Also, if you're struggling to reach other potential consumers and you're not getting the same reach as before in terms of ad impressions, make sure you're adding search partners as part of your campaign setup. Websites like ask.com form part of Google's search partners and account for 10% of Google's search reach. So if you want to reach new potential consumers at a lower CPC, that, and make sure you review your current bids. If you have high prevalent keywords that cost quite high in the current market and you're still bidding high for them, make sure you're reviewing every keyword and the bid around that CPC, because you don't want to be overpaying when the prices come down. So if you can reduce your bid significantly on generic keywords and start focusing on trending keywords around coronavirus, you'll be making more of your budgets on PPC. Take advantage of the low cost of social. So what we've seen here, and you can see in the graph on the right, is in Western Europe, the blue line, the cost of CPC that's come down on social media alone. So it's come down by nearly 40% in Western Europe and around about 38% in the UK. So that's a very important graph to look at, because it shows that it's actually cheaper to deliver social ads than it was before. Some advice for people doing organic posts: pause your scheduled posts. People are not working 9 to 5 anymore. You know, they've got priorities such as kids, they're working from home, they can work anytime and they can be more flexible. So your scheduled posts running at particular times aren't going to work. Post in real time, see what's happening, what's trending right now, which hashtags are top trending, and create real-time posts and be native and tell your message to fit the moment in time. And don't boost your posts. I know it can be tempting for small businesses just to put £20 behind a boosted post. Don't. Go into Facebook Business Manager, set up a paid campaign with that post and identify your audience. The data we showed in terms of the changing landscape by audience, you are going to use social and video, use that data, and we've got links at the end of where you can get more data from Global Web Index around that. Target your existing customers, upload your email database of converted customers to Facebook and to LinkedIn and other digital or other social channels, and send out targeted messages to them. Like we said in our tips and advice, your current customers are your current life stream and blood and revenue stream for your business. You don't want to negate them. You want to let them know they're still there. So use your existing data to reinforce your message to show what you're doing, and run retargeting ads. A lot of companies, and when we go through some of the examples, we were able to show how they're adapting and providing quality content for them to view and go to the site. Retargeting will allow you to retarget customers that have been on your site and looking for your product. So it helps you stay in front of mind. They won't convert straight away, but when we come out of this pandemic, you'll have a retargeting pool of people that visit your site, got valuable information, and be able to convert at a later stage. And finally, the default setup for channels like Facebook and LinkedIn is to pay per 1,000 impressions. Change your bid strategy and your payment strategy and your cost strategy, cost per click. As we've seen, cost per click's come down significantly. If your ad is delivered as an impression, you won't pay for it. You only pay when someone actually engages and clicks with your ad. So make sure you switch to cost per click, not impressions. There's no better way right now than to show empathy, provide value, and showcase how you as a company, as a brand, are supporting local communities in terms of how you're putting people first, in terms of your bottom line, than through video content. Like we said, 80% of you consumers are using more content via video and online. So make sure you're sharing it with them. Understand your audience. If they're like, Gen Z millennials, integrate your video into your messaging. Now, we understand that right now the need for, video agencies and creating video isn't great. So what we've done here is we've given you some video editing software links that you can sign up for free and start doing yourself. And same with mobile editing. You don't need to be an expert to create video, content. Now is the time for you to explore content yourself if needed. If your budgets are, low and you can create video content. This yoga video here was created in 1 to 2 hours. It's just animated. It was just an example of what we were showing to one of our clients who wanted to create video content to target the consumers locally, and said, well, why don't you use a PowerPoint and create a video through there? And something around yoga we created, it was done within 1 to 2 hours. Didn't use this, you end up creating a different video, but it just shows how quick and easy you could create a video. I mean, it's not the best video, understandably, because I'm not a video creator or video editor. So I had to go at it myself, but it just shows you that what you can achieve in just a couple of hours in your free time to create content, which your customers and consumers are consuming. SEO and content creation. As people are forced to stay at home, how can you shift your SEO and content strategy to address your audience and maintain relevance? So every site right now, if you have a website, should have a page about COVID-19. Looking at an example on the right, again, Nike update on COVID-19. Right at the top, they've got a news statement and COVID-19 view here. So they have a direct link so their customers can get updates on how Nike and what Nike are doing from a coronavirus update in this current pandemic. So it's relevant, coronavirus traffic. It's what people want to see. It's information customers want to get. So make sure you have that level of content on your site. View Google Trends. Google Trends isn't just for PPC, it's also for your organic ranking keywords. It's the first place to look to understand the changes in search behavior. So make sure you're going on there to understand what's modifying. So for example, the search we did was online learning at home. So you want to modify that search query at home and create, other links around that. So how to work at home during, COVID-19 pandemic, and create content on your site related to that. Create content that builds trust. Right now, consumers need to be earned, not acquired right now. You need to be establishing trust by delivering answers and knowledge. And one way you can do that is through transparency and building trust within your potential consumers. So create content that builds trust. Don't go for the direct sale. Go for education. Go for delivering answers that you might have got through your contact us form of customers or potential customers asking questions. Use that as a potential area. Look at what people are searching for and what those search queries were in Google Analytics for them to get to your site, and then create answers and questions around that to help your audience understand how that you have the answers in place. And also, you probably might have had some content planned through Q2. Again, you want to make sure that this isn't tone deaf to your customers. You want to make sure you show empathy and compassion to your audience, and make sure you change the messaging and the content around that. The example we've got on the right is some keywords that we ranked for our client interface that has taken 18 months to achieve the growth that we've done. Now, the reason to continue with SEO and content creation right now is the amount of money you probably would have spent on SEO in the last 12 months could be wasted if you stop your SEO and content activity right now. Because what will happen is you see a downward spiral in traffic trends like keyword as your competitors take advantage. You need to understand it's a long-term strategy. So by adapting the short term, you can make long-term gains. But what will happen is if you pause your SEO, you're going to lose your traffic, your competitors.
Manny, you've put yourself on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, I didn't touch my screen, it did automatically. So as I was saying, you know, you don't want to waste the money you've already spent on SEO, because if the traffic drops off, you've lost the money you spent in the last 12 months to build that traffic and have to do the same thing again. So reinvesting more money to achieve what you already done 12 months ago. So if you can still continue with the SEO and content creation, make sure that you do that. Let's focus on adapting in the short term to give you a chance at a long-term brand equity. And update your website. Now's the time for you to reflect on how your website looks and changes. The example I'm showing there is the new website design for Bobble Digital. This month we decided to rebuild our website, so we do practice what we preach. And the reason for that was because the design was outdated. We realized the content wasn't there, so we're using this time as an agency to improve our own actual metrics. So, you know, now's the time to kind of look at your website and see what are the issues and what can be done, what can you remove. So review your content on your site, performance, try and improve your user journey, make that user journey quicker, and that's what we've done with our new site design. Improve the technical elements of your site, make sure it loads quickly, it's mobile optimized and responsive, and that it's secure. And if the design is outdated, like I was, modernize the design and make it look a lot more better. Right, examples of businesses adapting digital marketing strategy. So everything we've gone through and talked about, you'll see a lot of examples of businesses already doing it. So it kind of verifies what we're trying to say to businesses. So Gymshark changed their name to Home Shark, and again just did an organic post and got over 1 million likes for it, because again they were reinforcing that they're putting customers first, people first, than their bottom line. Again, Piper's Crisp at 8 p.m. used their product range to create the NHS rainbow to show that they're putting, you know, people first beyond it. And then you have two big competitors coming together to create an app. Google and Apple teaming up to create, you know, a tracing COVID-19 app which got news worldwide. I mean, that's them putting, you know, their customers and consumers and the public first beyond their own competitor rivalry and their own profits. And I've got a local example. So Garber Elliott, some people might know, our accountants in Leeds. They're not our clients, but I put this example in because it's a great example of what they've done. What they did was they created a hub and pieced it all together so businesses could go there and get information. They created a furlough calculator. Again, this is a great example of a local business adapting to the current environment by changing their messaging and understanding that they need to provide answers and support and value to potential businesses. The value of this is if they're going to their hub and signing up for the latest updates, they've got their information. So post-pandemic, they've got a potential sales funnel. They're going on the site to get the new furlough calculator done. That's helping businesses and making it easy for them to understand the cost implications and planning their budgets and cash flow. So they're providing real value. And who do you think they're going to remember when they come out of the pandemic, when they need their accounts doing? They're going to go with the place where they got the most advice and help from. Here are just some ads that I've seen across social media, how people are adapting their ads. So CPC Farnell talking about how they're proud to be supporting heroic customers in the critical health, communication, utility sector. You've got people like Charles Terwhite, conference call ready, casual search. We're all doing conference calls, so they're adapting to that kind of messaging. PC World, a bigger brand, stay at home. They adapted the whole video to, we'll bring the tech to you to kind of focus on. You've got your health, as our number one priority. Again, always open at courage.co.uk, focusing the message that, we're online, even though our stores are closed. And then you've got brands like Nectar Sleep, which is a great example of people that can't adapt their message, but focus on it. So again, just pushing out their offer around Easter and continuing. So, sorry, I just wanted to pause that video. So again, what they're doing is offering 0%. The reason I picked that is because they're offering 0% APR when they normally don't. You know, free warranty, free shipping returns, a 365-day free trial, something they haven't done before. So they're really discounting their product to kind of get rid of stock and pushing out to current businesses. So you can still potentially sell if you want to by using the right messages. But again, it's going to have an impact on their income. Finally, some important links and reading material. Facebook are offering grants to small businesses right now. They've created a £100 million cash grant and ad credits link. You can go to that link when we share the presentation and sign up for updates. They've just launched it in San Francisco, California, and New York. At the moment, it hasn't come to the UK. Also in the top right, as we've highlighted in red box, there's a COVID-19 resources. So as long as your business has between 2 and 50 employees, been in business for over a year, and needs experience challenges and operates within a Facebook operated area, you should be eligible for that grant. So sign up, stay up to date with the updates on that, because as a small business, something like that and getting your money back that you've already spent can be really, really valuable. Google have gone a step further and offered 800 million support for small businesses and crisis response, and made 340 million available for small to medium businesses that have had active accounts over the past year. From our understanding, you actually don't need to do anything to achieve that. However, you can go on the link below to stay up to date on their blogs in terms of what they're doing. What you should do is get a credit notification if they think you fit that criteria, and you'll be able to use that credit up until the end of 2020. So again, these are good, incentives from people like Google and Facebook, where a lot of money is going from, but it also helps small businesses that are looking to spend, and you can realign that budget to focus on new strategies online. Some of the links where we get our information from is Campaign Live. Marketing Week have a dedicated page around coronavirus marketing. So if you want to keep up to date, please go on that link. The Drum, IAB, and Digital Agency Network are key. And for where we actually are a partner with Global Web Index, so they actually do a lot of our data that we showed in the first section of our site, of our presentation. So please go on that link, because they're providing a lot of free content right now. And if you want to get some really good content, you can use the search tool on LinkedIn, search for keywords relating to coronavirus and digital marketing, and filter by content, and you'll be able to see the latest updates and posts from professionals in the industry. I hope that was in time and you guys found that all very, very educational. Sorry for the couple of interruptions in between, but I think I'll now take some questions. If you want to contact me directly, my email is manpreet.singh@bobbledigital.com, and I'll happy to answer any questions or provide any advice that you need.
Wow, Manny, what an amazing presentation. So good. And such a wealth of information, and so many tips and advice for people. Just to reassure everyone that we will be sharing this presentation with a follow-up email after this session. That's okay. So don't worry if you've missed anything. We have got time for some questions. So I've got one here, Manny, from John King from Envisuals and Narissa Bellamy from the Dance Mob. They both want to know, they're B2B, and they want to know about you talked about changing work patterns, and how is there any evidence to say that businesses have changed their buying behaviour? Are companies seeking new suppliers at this time?
It depends by industry. What I'll try and do is share a link by where industries are. So businesses that I've seen a big uplift from this is like people like finance companies, charities, etc., certain manufacturers in health. There are certain industries that are actually out there right now seeking a lot of support and help because they're inundated. One client is NewFit, which is fitness dumbbells that they sell through Amazon. They just can't keep up with their trade. So there are businesses out there that are dying for supplies and services to help them right now. However, there are a lot of businesses like your travel, your retail, etc., and your sports that have taken a hit. So where the industry is booming right now, and where businesses are doing well, yes, the patterns are still the same. If anything, they're reaching out for more of it. And again, something like that search tool on LinkedIn, if you've got specific business and you're looking for potential suppliers or businesses that you can do, why don't you try and create some case studies around how you're helping businesses right now and how you could potentially help them. Again, show empathy and show value. So if you go out and start targeting those businesses by showing the value that you're offering and how you can help by helping current businesses out, that could work right now. But I haven't seen any change in terms of B2B, except though those businesses that have been hit have actually cut down on spend and actually have obviously stopped working with certain suppliers, but that's expected. But the businesses that are booming are crying out for help.
Thank you, Manny. And the next question is, you talked about social media becoming more social. Does that mean businesses should adapt their corporate voice and be a bit more social too? And how often should they communicate with their customers? Should they change how often they communicate?
First part of that question, yes, you need to become more social and change your tone of voice. As we said, Gymshark was a great one. They moved to Home Shot. They're engaging in really cool ways. Wrigley's posted an image of a garlic flavor chewing gum to encourage people to stay at home. They're communicating in the current language based on how the environment and the economies and how consumers are changing. A lot of businesses are showing empathy, so they're not selling. It's all about creating conversation. It's not about clicks or impressions anymore. It's about conversation. So if you've seen a lot of comments and engagement in your post, that's positive right now, because that's what you need to be nurturing, building relationships. And you can only do that by changing your tone of voice. Mm-hmm. The second part of that question was, I think Carolyn's.
Should we change how regularly we communicate with customers?
Yes and no. That one's a bit more of a difficult one. You've just got to be on trend right now. So if you're posting like 2-3 times a day, your ads are going to get diluted. And as we know, that social platforms are a pay-to-play format. But if you're creating, content every couple of days, and you're creating video content and, and sharing your, post through video, then it can have a direct impact. I said, don't overflood, just do it casually, just drip certain content and stay on top of it. If you've got social media listening tools, great, but you can just go on to like something like on top of Twitter and see what's trending right now in terms of hashtags. There's a lot of free tools out there. You can see what, hashtags are trending right now, and then try and create content around that and adapting it when new hashtags and new things start trending. So just adapt as you see the channels adapt and how you see the actual platform adapt based on what's trending right now.
And you talked about developing content that builds trust rather than direct sales. So you gave an example of a big business, but do you have examples of a smaller business or a charity that's done that well?
Well, I mean, one of the examples I gave was Garbutt and Elliott. They've created content that advises businesses on what to do. So they created a hub. And if you go on there, there's so many articles and information and procedures of how to do that. And they're a small business that operates within the Leeds area, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. And again, that's a great example of, what businesses are doing right now. And they're not selling, they're just providing support and advice, taking the government information and making it more readable and understandable for businesses. So I would say go and look at Garbutt Elliott's website. I mean, they're not a client of ours, but it was one that I picked out because it's one that, I hit home to me, and I thought, you know what, let's have a look at this. And I found the information really valuable. And then I saw the content, and I thought I'd share it because it's a great example of a local, small business that, is using, building trust by providing relevant, stress relief information and like stuff like furlough calculators. So that's the best example I give. If I can find other examples, I'll send through some links for you to share out to everyone.
Thank you. Yes, it's amazing how people are coming together, isn't it, during this time? And then the one final question then, Manny, what one thing should businesses definitely do during this pandemic to come out stronger on the other side?
I would say adapt your strategy towards video content. If there's one thing I can't stress right now, it's video. There's a lot of things I've gone through there, like, search and social. But again, through social, we're consuming so much more video content. Start developing video content strategies right now. And for videos that are like 10, 15 seconds, TikTok, I've seen a huge rise in older demographics adapting to TikTok because people have nothing else better to do. And as technology improves and with the launch of 5G coming soon, TikTok only became prevalent because of 4G technology, because we can stream video content instantly. And people, including millennials, are out there looking for news and they want to see news very, very quickly. Nobody wants to read articles anymore. Nobody wants to receive 30-minute videos anymore. They want to see, quick information, get a taste of what they want, and then follow up with more research. So there's one thing you should be doing as a business to prepare yourself when this pandemic ends, now to adapt right now, is video content. Look at video content and start adapting a video strategy for the long term, because that is where the industry is going. Facebook is becoming a video platform. YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's owned by Google and it's a video platform. TikTok for the last 4 months has had the highest number of app downloads per month. And look at stuff like Zoom. I mean, you don't even have to create video on your mobile, but we've given you some links of how to do, video editing via mobile and desktop. Let's start creating and experimenting with video content, even if you do it yourself. It will help you survive in the future, because images and general content is on the decrease.
Thank you so much, Manny. There's a whole range of positive comments on the chat for you, saying how interesting it's been and how useful it is for lots of people and for their businesses and for their charities. So thank you once again. A virtual round of applause for you. Just to reiterate, we will follow up with a survey from today. It's our first ever online, so I hope it's okay for you. I hope we all come out stronger the other side, and hope we work in a better way when we're through this. So I hope to see you all for the next event. If anybody wants to be part of the Leeds Trinity Business Network and work with at Leeds Trinity University in a wider way, if you want to know more about future events or receive updates, you can do. I think Hayley will put a link on the chat now for that. We run digital apprenticeships. We've got something in digital marketing apprenticeship starting in October, if anyone's interested in that. But if anyone wants to work with us on student placements and projects, you can find out all that information on our website. So, and receive invites to future events such as these. So I hope to see you for the next one. Stay safe and well, everyone. And thanks again to Manpreet Singh for an amazing presentation.
Thank you for the invite, Jessie. It was an honour. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, take care, everyone, and see you next time. Bye.